coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
They're crazy out there, and they are rapidly developing a method of blowing up a major U.S. city, and people just can't believe that's happening. But yes, it's really significant what's happening.
That is Senator Inhofe of Oklahoma, a pretty good guy overall when you talk about establishment Republicans, and when he starts talking like that, you've got to be really concerned. Al-Qaeda is real. It's renamed itself ISIS or IS. And I don't like to toot my own horn because we're so busy covering the latest news as it breaks. But people tend to pay attention to what you say when you can show them a year ago, 6 months ago, 3 years ago, saying Al-Qaeda in Iraq is being deployed into Syria, armed by the NATO forces, funded by Saudi Arabia, directed by the CIA. That was all in foreign newspapers. That was all in the Gulf newspapers. That was in the Israeli newspapers. This is not my opinion. Remember Rand Paul and Ted Cruz talked about it? Hey, we shouldn't be Al-Qaeda's Air Force. And now they're on the news saying we've got to attack Syria because the Syrian civil war has allowed ISIS to have a base, or Al-Qaeda. When it's our government and globalist criminals worldwide that started this whole thing to begin with in 1979 and 1983. I have interviewed the Special Forces commanders and the Army commanders, Colonel Schaefer, you name it, who publicly ran the programs to kill Al-Qaeda leaders and were ordered to stand down. Twice in the week before 9/11 to kill Osama bin Laden. Operation Stratus Ivy. By the way, I want to get Schaefer on, if we can do that. I know he has to jump through a lot of hoops to come on because they call him into the Pentagon. He still consults and advises to the Army War College and scream at him whenever he comes on. But seriously, let's twist his arm and get him on the show. I want to get his take on all of this. So it's a real threat. They're going to have the neocons and fake conservatives write news articles saying that I'm saying ISIS doesn't exist when they blow up a sports stadium or blow up a bunch of major skyscrapers or, God forbid, smuggle a nuclear weapon in. That's not what I said. I said, you funded them, you protected them, and you're going to get the blame when it happens. You're not going to shut down the press and take my guns and roll your MRAPs out against the Tea Party. Because let me tell you something, the neocons are manipulating Obama. The Democrats and the neocons at the highest levels are basically the same cabal. And I have told you for years, as soon as Al-Qaeda's done taking part of Iraq and Syria, they're going to rename themselves to confuse the public. I mean, they're following like pancake recipe or something. This is shake and bake. It's formulaic. And they are going to hit the West. And I predict they're going to start out with surface-to-air missiles with 10,000-foot ceilings shooting airliners down. They could deploy these all over Europe and all over the United States. And, I mean, if they've got 15,000 of them, they could easily smuggle in hundreds. And they could, at one time, say 9:01 a.m., park 2 miles from every major airport and shoot down 100 airplanes in 1 hour. You know what happens when a plane's taken off at 3,000 or 4,000 feet and its engine gets hit by a missile? It crashes. Everybody dies. Sometimes if one gets hit by a missile at 10,000 feet, they can get it back to the ground. And I've got these ISIS people being allowed to run free all over the country, sending us threats, you name it. They're allowed to operate on Twitter and Facebook, but we're not. We're censored I tried to put a Rick Perry video out, his defense video, last night on Facebook, and it wasn't letting me. Well, in fact, I forgot to give that to you guys. I gave it to Do last night, the Nightly News, when they censored me. It's a 1 minute. It's a Stand with Rick ad. It's pretty powerful. I want to get that, too. So I'm not allowed to put stuff out, but Al-Qaeda is. And, of course, InfoWars Nightly News, tonight, 7 o'clock Central. As we develop the InfoWars News Center to be able to cover news basically 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Senator Inhofe told Fox News in Oklahoma City in a detailed sit-down interview that's up on Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.com, and DrudgeReport.com, he told Fox 25 that ISIS is developing an operation to blow up a major city. Now, that's what they're feeding the senator in the Intelligence Committee. He's a senior senator, obviously, and has access to all that. They're going to be allowed to attack us, and it will be bigger than 9/11, my gut tells me. It's going to be airliners getting shot down, buildings being blown up, nerve gas being dumped down ventilation shafts on buildings. This is the kind of stuff they're working on. Hell, they may even launch a chemical attack in, say, Chicago or L.A. or Austin, for that matter, and blame it on Assad. And our media will say Assad did it, and it will say he's Al-Qaeda. They've already been doing that over there. And Turkey got caught and Saudi Arabia got caught giving them the nerve gas. It came out in the UN and the BBC months after we documented it that it was a staged chemical attack to set up Assad. And I've got people talking to me on the street, and I see it on the news about, yeah, we didn't take Assad out, so now this is happening. Yeah, we didn't let Hitler do what he wanted to. So, I mean, it's just absolute brainwashing with a public that doesn't even know who the players are. Al-Qaeda in Iraq 4 years ago was allowed to set up bases in the west of Iraq and invade eastern Syria. They started the civil war 4 years ago in Syria. They were given massive funding. They're 65%, according to NATO, of the rebel force. The Council on Foreign Relations last year had the headline, "Why We Need Al-Qaeda." And they said, give them air support to take over the country and we'll remove them later. Bull. Saudi Arabia, since 1901, officially set up in 1931, but it was established by British intelligence in a multi-hundred square mile area in the middle of the desert, giving a radical jihadi group weapons to take over the entire region and set up Saudi Arabia. They took over Syria. They took over where the old Turkish Empire or the Ottoman Empire collapsed. Okay? So that's a fact, but the system thinks you're so dumb. That now they can say, see, we need Homeland Security and the MRAPs. They're saying that in the news. And we need checkpoints. And we need total NSA surveillance because ISIS and Al-Qaeda and IS, all the same group. They all have the same flags. They say they're Al-Qaeda. That is just Western names to confuse everyone. Al-Qaeda has established an Islamic State in eastern Syria and western Iraq. That's a fact. To launch attacks worldwide. They were given Afghanistan before. They've been trying to find a home. They've been given the home by NATO, and now our military is only bombing them so the public doesn't figure out that our government's behind Al-Qaeda. And because they've got to paint by the numbers and stay in that area they've been given. We have a deal with Iran to give them the east, to give the Kurds the north of Iraq, and to give IS, Al-Qaeda in Iraq, the western area. That is official. That has been out for years. That has been the plan to partition Iraq. This is all discussed on C-SPAN. It's all discussed at the Brookings Institute. It's all discussed at the Council on Foreign Relations. It's in all the military Jane's Weapons quarterly breakdowns. Anyone who's actually a policy person knows this, okay? So understand, everyone at the CIA knows, all the military brass know, even the enlisted know. That's why they rebelled last year and said, we don't want to bomb Syria for Al-Qaeda because Al-Qaeda is much worse than Assad. We will not morally join with Sauron. And that was a magic moment for our military rediscovering their morals, rediscovering their mission, rediscovering the Constitution, rediscovering the moral high ground. And I wept driving home one day, just tears ran down my face of joy when thousands of military officers, Navy, Army, Marine Corps, Air Force, would cover their faces in uniform, active duty, and hold up signs saying, I will not fight for al-Qaeda in Syria, Infowars.com under it. Wasn't even my idea.